suggesting that it's AIPAC or IPAC. I don't even know how it's pronounced. AIPAC, IPAC, that is funding this show or other creators. Of course, not true. That the DNC is involved, not true. Some creators in the first
so a guy who's pretending to not know how to a guy who's pretending not to know how to pronounce the word AIPAC is telling you to trust him, that someone else is lying about him. Come see me on tour in Appleton, Wisconsin, Rosemont, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, Louisville, Fort Wayne, Hermosa Beach, Sacramento, San Francisco. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. I've resisted talking about this garbage person, David Pakman, who's a transparent garbage person. He's a Zionist to the hilt. He certainly has an AIPAC handler. He's the infiltrator inside the left. He's the one that takes the revolutionary spirit of the left and funnels it back into a pro-genocide, anti-worker, pro-war party. That's what he does. And
he's pragmatic, Jimmy.
And this is what he's done. He's done dozens of videos about trying to slander me, and one time he did it, and half of his paying audience left him. And here's a little clip of that. Yeah.
So last week we got a live call. As you know, Pat, we don't screen live calls for topics. People can ask anything they want. And a caller said, David, what do you think about Jimmy Dore, who's now going to battle against Sam Cedar or Bernie, AOC, Andrew Gillum, I don't even know how he says his last name. And I gave my opinion. I gave my opinion, as I always do, which was to say in this case that I think Jimmy Dore has become totally toxic. I think he's a useful idiot and a tool of really bad movements.
So the funny part about that is that David Pakman should have been saying that into a mirror, because that's exactly what David Pakman is, always has been. And he has zero talent, yet somehow he has 3 million subscribers on YouTube. And that's because he has an AIPAC handler and Democratic donors who get him in with the Google and YouTube, and they get him on the good algorithm. That's all that is. That's just like the same thing with that Lex Friedman. The guy who is a human sleeping pill somehow has millions of viewers and all this out of nowhere. Same thing with David Pakman. And the irony is he got caught being an infiltrator. He got caught being controlled, being paid by big money Democrat groups, and to keep it secret and quiet. Dark Money Group is secretly funding high-profile Democratic influencers. And one of the things they tell him is don't talk about Gaza. What do you want to say, Kurt?
Do you think Barry Weiss is maybe the $150 million blog that she runs on? Do you think that is suspect as a result of this David Pakman?
So here's part of so this is from the article that Taylor Lorenz actually finally did good journalism. And here it is. They were being offered $8,000 a month to take part in a secretive program aimed at bolstering Democratic messaging on the internet. But the contract sent them from a group called Chorus, the nonprofit arm of a liberal influencer marketing platform, came with some strings. By the way, Chorus got money from Kamala Harris also. So among the other issues, it mandated extensive secrecy about disclosing their payments and had restrictions on what sort of political content the creators could produce. So they're controlled. So these are just ops. David Pakman is a psyop and a liar and a garbage person. And it doesn't take much to see through that. And the only reason he has any kind of traction on YouTube is because he has an AIPAC handler, and is because he's got Democratic donors greasing the wheels with him, getting him pushed by the algorithm on YouTube. He's not on the same algorithm we are. And so here's what he had to say about it.
And implications about me and other creators, claiming I'm taking money in exchange for letting someone dictate the content of this show or restrict what I'm talking about, and many other claims and implications.
Well, it's right there, because that's in the contract. It mandated extensive secrecy about disclosing their payments and had restrictions on what sort of political content the creators could produce. And then you lied about it, and you kept it secret. And you had remember he had his big meeting with Joe Biden at the White House? Remember that? With Demented Joe?
And some creators in the first 48 hours.
And so now you're going to see how he's a degenerate liar, because he is a degenerate liar. And watch this. Watch how he pretends to not know how to pronounce AIPAC.
Some creators in the first 48 hours took the Wired story and expanded it with even more outrageous claims, suggesting that it's AIPAC or IPAC. I don't even know how it's pronounced. AIPAC, IPAC, that is funding this show or other creators. Of course, not true. that the DNC is involved. Not true. Some creators in the first
so a guy who's pretending to not know how to a guy who's pretending not to know how to pronounce the word AIPAC is telling you to trust him, that someone else is lying about him. By the way, here he is. He knows how to pronounce AIPAC when he's attacking Ilhan Omar. Watch this.
A couple different things. Number one, AIPAC is a more right-wing group, and Jews in the U.S. are very, very liberal. So yeah, there are Jews who support AIPAC.
So he knows how to say AIPAC. And
IPAC?
You know how I know how he knows? Because his brother, Nathan Pakman, was the senior strategist for trust and safety at Google, also senior associate regional director for the ADL. For the Anti-Defamation League, which is the Jewish defamation. They go out and they defame people who tell you the truth about Zionism and Israel. His brother was the senior associate regional director. You're telling me David Pakman, who does this for a living, and his brother does that for a living, doesn't know how to pronounce AIPAC? So he's just a degenerate liar. And so that's just proof he's a degenerate liar. And I got that term from Russell Dobular when he said, I was like, I will never stop repeating that. Correcting the record, journalist David Pakman pretending not to know how to pronounce AIPAC to prove he isn't getting paid by them is the only evidence I need to know he definitely is.
Oh man, I said October 7th was the end of woke. And that's why, because all the AIPAC, the ADL, the fake left wing, we have a left and a right wing that both support AIPAC. Where there's ADL, or it's all the same thing. You don't get to have your own politics. It's directly affected by Israel.
Here is Russell and Keaton, and they're going to tell you exactly who David Pakman is and how he got to have a successful YouTube channel.
We have always said this. We don't get this too much anymore because it's just so fucking obvious that we're almost like doing everything we can not to cash in. We're like anti-money at this point with the way that we run the channel. But we used to get it like, oh, you're grifting. And we always said this because it was always, even without this being out in the open in this way, it was always very obvious that people like Pakman are getting paid by somebody. Like the shallowness of their politics and the way that, just like you watch corporate media and you can see what the marching orders they're getting are, it's the same thing with certain content creators, with a lot of them. What did you think? The people who have been bribing the corporate media through various means, usually through advertising dollars, through gigs, through the revolving door, through promises of board seats if you leave this job or a promotion, you'll be in the club, you'll be taken care of, like the mafia, right? Like it doesn't have to be as overt as a sack of cash. It's, one hand washes the other, and it's understood. As long as you don't cross certain lines, you don't talk about certain things, you don't piss off certain people, you're going to have a cushy gig for life, whether it's in the media, whether it's in the government, whether it's in a corporation, you'll just be in the revolving door, you'll be in the mix. When you're out of work, you'll be able to pick up the phone and call Clinton's inner circle or Obama's inner circle, and they'll hook you up. And same thing on the Republican side. What do you think? When indie media broke out, these people were just going to let that go, especially as indie media became more watched in many cases.
So he's saying the same people who control everything, the corporate news media, you think they're not going to control the independent media when the independent media became more popular than the corporate media? Of course it is. And they got people like David Pakman to do their bidding, and he does.
And the corporate media, they've been throwing hundreds of millions of dollars out all these years. Of course they got in and they co-opted it. When you see a guy like Pakman with no talent whatsoever, nothing to recommend him, no reason anyone would watch him. When you see Lex Friedman, a guy who really could replace the entire sleeping pill industry, having millions of views and getting pushed in the algorithm the way that he does, somebody's doing that. Somebody's behind that. And, Tim Dillon made this point about how these people work very cheap. They really do, man. Like for a guy like Pakman, where you got that many subscribers and that many views, yeah, man, $8,000 a month sounds like a lot. It's really not a lot relative to what his numbers should be based on that. Right. So you're going to compromise your whole integrity for $8,000, but that's the thing. These people don't have any integrity to begin with. So the $8,000 is like a bonus, I think, for that. I don't think it's the point. It's the access more than the money.
Hey, you know what's broken? Our so-called healthcare system. You get sick, you jump through hoops, beg your doctor for something that's been around for decades, and they still tell you no. And insurance, forget it. They never cover what actually works. That's why I use All Family Pharmacy, a patient-first independent pharmacy that says yes when others make you wait. They connect you with licensed U.S. doctors who review your requests online quickly, legally, and without all the red tape. They've just lowered prices on most ivermectin and mebendazole up to 25%. Ivermectin starts at just $2 a capsule. And now they've got NAD+, the anti-aging injectable everybody's talking about. Here's how it works. Order online in minutes. A licensed doctor reviews your order to make sure it's right for you, and your medication shipped straight to your door. No waiting rooms, no gatekeepers, no insurance middlemen telling you what you can and can't have. Take control of your health. Use the code DOOR10 and go to allfamilypharmacy.com/door right now. Your health, your choice. Come see me on tour in Appleton, Wisconsin, Rosemont, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, Louisville, Fort Wayne, Hermosa Beach, Sacramento, San Francisco. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.